Here we got an incredible information from James Webb Telescope about a specific moon that is around Jupiter. In this case, is the well-known Europa, and looking at its content on its ocean floor and what are the implications of this particular discovery in terms of our understanding of its habitability with regards to its content. And speaking of the content on Europa, James Webb Telescope actually brought up a concrete proof that this particular myth that hey, a meteorite actually landed on this particular moon enough for it to actually have one of the essential elements that is crucial for habitability, which in this case is carbon, is not actually true. It's actually beneath its ocean floor. And by doing a lot of intensive research here by James Webb Telescopes, one using its near infrared camera to show us Europa, but secondly and most importantly is the composite maps of this particular near infrared spec alongside its collaboration with the integral field unit allowed us to see an incredible look of the specific location where this particular compound, in this case carbon dioxide, essentially from carbon, is really crucial for our understanding of the origin story of carbon on this moon. And maybe there might be some incredible parallels between this here and that of our own planet, in this case Earth. And those were the stories that we used to have in terms of, yeah, maybe meteorites actually landed on it, or maybe it was in the primordial soup with all the elements come together, or it was already in the particular planet before it was actually formed. But in here it actually started in the ocean according to this particular research results here. So it's really incredible to see the progress of this particular information coming from the past here with regards to Webb Space Telescope, but also the future about this particular mission here that is actually produced right here. And the future here is that they are planning on putting up a spacecraft very soon by 2024, which is called Europa Clipper spacecraft, that is going to be orbiting around Europa and give us more concrete information about this particular incredible moon and more content on its ocean that is really salty and rocky, and maybe this might give us much more information about the habitability of this particular moon. Now, in terms of the timeline, it states here that this year is geologically recent in terms of the time scale, and so this actually comes into question about these parallels with our Earth story. Watching this particular moon build and grow and maybe become more like Earth billions of years from now is going to be an incredible thing to actually check out here. So I know, of course, are we going to exist billions years from now? Only time will tell for sure. But currently here, this here is an incredible origin story of carbon and how it's going to evolve from just carbon to carbon dioxide to maybe more concepts like methane and other macromolecules that may lead to our understanding of life in the future. So it's really fascinating to see such information here sprouting here from Europa here with regards to carbon, mainly carbon dioxide, and whether this here also shows how hostile this particular moon is going to look like what we currently, or less hostile in the future. And this here is going to enable us to actually further really deep into the conditions that is necessary for this particular planet to foster such important compound here, and maybe how this might evolve into something else in the future. Now, the chemistry guy within me is just excited to see how these combinations might actually come up in terms of carbon dioxide, that is one, but maybe the presence of water that is also in the ocean. We know that there are a couple of salts in this particular ocean here. Now, with all these reactions, like for example, the presence of some particular catalyst in there, we don't know if we have carbon dioxide and water. That is a recipe for macromolecules, like for example sugar, which has a lot of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. And so all these things are really nourishing here to see, based on the possibility of such outcomes here just from this one discovery here from James Webb Telescope. about Europa. Now, according to this article, it tells us the location where this was actually discovered on Europa, and it says that it is of high concentration, which is carbon dioxide, in the region called Terra Regio, which is a recently young geological area on Europa, and is also kind of called Terrain. That is what they call it in here. But moving outside of the naming part, it's going to be interesting to see this particular location here as the potential origin story of carbon dioxide, and will this actually spread, or will it trigger other events within Europa? And this year is going to be a lot of more time to be investigated on using the new probe that is going to be sent out very soon. Now, speaking of how powerful James Webb Telescope was able to actually produce this result, it says here that it took just a few minutes to get this result, and this is just incredible in terms of the timing of how this was generated, with this evidence here and many more science explorations that this year is going to unleash. And so timing is really crucial here. The fast pace by which we are learning more about this particular moon and many other parts of our system is just incredible. How fast this year enables us to really understand really deep and maybe push further into what necessary steps can be taken, for we to unleash more critical data that will help us to understand better about our origin story based on this particular moon and other moons and planetary bodies alike. Now, in terms of plume evidence, Hubble Space Telescope really touched on that in 2013, 2016, 2017. The 2013 one actually showed that plume was detected on the southern pole of Europa, but currently with James Webb, there is no evidence yet of presence of plume, and so this is going to be interesting to see water vapor in this particular case, and this plume can show us more high activity going on around Europa, and the high activity shows that, hey, maybe this might be an active region for different cooking ingredients to be happening or formed in this particular region, in terms of the chemistry here behind the transformation of simple molecules to more complex molecules. So I hope you found this really informative in terms of Europa and the discovery of carbon dioxide, which of course the critical element carbon, essential for life, is going to be a great way for we to step into the future of this. Let's know your thought about this particular article in the comment section down below, but that way we can talk to you soon. Stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.